You people have done everything in the world to me. Doesn't that give me equal right? I can do anything I want to you people at any time I want to, because that's what you've done to me. If you spit in my face and smack me in the mouth and throw me in solitary confinement for nothing, what do you think's gonna happen when I get out of here? Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something. You know, if I wanted to kill somebody, I'd take this book and beat you to death with it, and I wouldn't feel a thing. It'd be just like walking to the drugstore. Do you feel blame? Are you mad? Do you feel like wolves about referendums? Get friends,
Today we are in Southern California at Spahn Ranch, which is where Charles Manson and his followers were living around the time that they murdered Sharon Tate. Right now, I am standing in the exact spot of one of the most famous photos of Spahn Ranch during Charles Manson's time. Down in that ravine, the little clearing area right there, that's where Spahn Ranch was before. Well, it's not there anymore. And over in that direction is the Manson Family Caves. To be completely honest, I'm a little worried that we're going to run into a rattlesnake or something venomous that's going to bite. I'm properly prepared. Jessica, she's got flip-flops. She doesn't really have the proper footwear, so she's sitting this one out. We're going to go down inside, see what's left of Spahn Ranch, get some photos, just like the Manson family did, in the cave, see what's left, and then get out of here. Hopefully without a trip to the hospital.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
A wandering band of members of a so-called religious cult with a leader they call Jesus has had 3 of its followers arrested in the investigation of the murder of Sharon Tate and 6 others.
This is where they lived, among the stables, barns, and phony buildings of an old rundown movie location 20 miles from Los Angeles. They called themselves the Family. They came and went, and the number varied from 20 to 30. Police said they were a pseudo-religious cult. People who worked on the ranch said they were heavy users of drugs.
To be more specific, right now we're in the Santa Susana Pass. It's a state historic park here in Southern California. And in the 60s, when the police came here and raided Spahn Ranch and arrested Charles Manson and his followers, there's all kinds of different pictures of the police lining this road that we're walking up right now. To the left of us, behind all this brush, which we got to find a way in, is where Spahn Ranch was. From everything I could find online, the dirt road that led down into Spahn Ranch was at one point right about here. It's a little hard to make out where everything was just by looking down into the ravine from the road. But let's see if we can get down inside there and find any remnants. There's all kinds of makeshift pathways here, and I can hear other people down near where the caves are, so I'm kind of following their voice, as well as the path. It's like a crazy makeshift park. It's beautiful.
Illusion has been shall be. So bring on the young perfection, for there will surely be no cold and fear no hunger. You can't see, you can't see, you can't see.
Right behind me is the famous Manson Caves, and you know what? It's like right along a stream, and there's a little bit of water here, but I'm gonna get inside for a picture. Yeah. Now here's something that most people don't realize. When you think of Charles Manson and you think Spahn Ranch, you think a murderous following. They weren't really a cult, they were a following, a group, a commune. But Spahn Ranch at one point was an active movie set. And when Charles Manson and his followers were here, they actually worked here, giving horse tours, taking care of the ranch itself. They were productive. They were stealing cars at the time, and ultimately they ended up committing murder. But when they were here, they were a productive family, so to speak. The man behind Spahn Ranch, George Spahn, his house was to the left of that tree, right in about the center of your screen near that giant rock. The majority of Spahn Ranch was up here on a clearing. But right now, we're down here in the ravine where most of the Manson stuff seems to be. Here's a 360 view. It's kind of hard to imagine, well, believe that I am standing where Charles Manson and his followers really had their beginning. Right back that way you can see the path. That's where the Manson Caves are. But right here, this rock used to have the word Manson carved on it, and as you can see, it's been chipped away. Authorities didn't want it there, so they got rid of the name. But this rock over here looks like somebody crudely carved Manson in it. Over time, Spahn Ranch caught fire, burnt down. They demolished it and they pushed all the remains of the ranch into the ravine, which is where I'm currently at right now. Supposedly there are parts of buildings, metal, and even a car somewhere. Right now I'm just kind of roaming around looking. Pretty much the only piece of metal that I found down here in the ravine is this wire right here, which it could be from whenever Charles Manson was here. It's growing inside this tree and coming out of the tree, but who knows? Since there's really nothing left here anymore, just going around trying to line up shots. For this one, pay close attention to the tree on your right hand side, how it splits, and the rock that's directly behind it. Still following the ravine, looking for any signs of Manson, and I come across this, somebody's art piece, this giant concrete slab that's laying in the water. It's neat to see that so many people come out here because of what happened. It's history. Here's a shot from the other side of the artwork on the back part of the wall. Somebody's artwork. Anymore, everything just kind of seems like it's hiking trails. For those who want to take a step back in time to the late 60s when Charles Manson and his followers were here, his family. It's beautiful, I'll give it that. Oh, watching my step. What is going on up here? Oh, this is nice. Private property signs. So do not want to go over there. Alright, enough of the ravine. Let's go up here to the top where the Spahn movie ranch actually was and see if we can find anything up here. Maybe look down a ravine. See if we can find that car that I keep hearing people talk about. It's a beautiful area. There's really nothing here. It's all been bulldozed away. And if you do decide to come out here to visit where Manson and his followers called home in the late 60s, pretty much the only thing that you can see is the Manson Caves. And that's kind of worth it, especially if you're into that sort of thing like we are. Now there used to be so much here. Horse stables, buildings, houses. It was a pretty happening place, and they filmed all kinds of movies here too. And all that is gone. Here's a shot down into the ravine. Now let's take a moment to get our bearings. Right now I'm standing at the far back corner of Spahn Ranch, and you see those two telephone poles? Look for them in this photo. Alright, so that telephone pole right there is near the main entrance, also where the main mailbox, the famous mailbox that said Spahn Ranch on it, and this telephone pole right there is near where all the horses were. The corral, I guess you would call it. That's where I'm standing. Looking over here at the hillside, this is where all the buildings would have been. And then whenever they're demolished, they're all bulldozed in the ravine where we started this video at. So much history. A lot of times we visit some pretty sensitive locations, whether it's a murder or a suicide or something that just shouldn't have happened. But in all actuality, it's all history, whether we like it or not. We just go through and we document it. This patch of land is where Charles Manson and his followers lived and called home and worked in the late 60s. This is where Helter Skelter began. This is where they were before Sharon Tate was murdered.
Wherever I come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.